This might just be a me thing, but I want to talk about a Christmas wish that people called beautiful, and my nervous system called, no thank you. I came across a post today that looked gentle, sweet even, the kind of thing people comment hearts under and move on. It was a child wishing peace and serenity to their parents because of all the sacrifices they've made. And at first glance, it reads like emotional maturity, empathy, gratitude, love. But it didn't land that way in my body. One word wouldn't let me go: sacrifice. Because sacrifice isn't neutral language, it's moral language. It implies loss, renunciation, cost. And we use that word around children so casually, sometimes even proudly, as if it's self-evidently noble. We say it with love, often with tired smiles, and with a kind of quiet martyrdom we're taught to admire. But once you name a cost, you quietly create a ledger. Someone gave something up, someone else benefited, and somewhere in that equation, a debt appears. What unsettled me wasn't the child's sensitivity. It wasn't their wish for peace. It was the fact that a child was already being praised for recognizing the price of their existence. Because children are not born with debt, but they can be taught it very early without anyone ever saying it out loud. And the post didn't stop with the child's words. It ended with the parent's caption, "Children's gratitude, despite the sacrifices and renunciations, repays everything." That sentence stopped me, because now the ledger is visible: sacrifice, renunciation, repayment. What's framed as sweetness is suddenly transactional. And I want to be very clear here. This isn't about blaming a parent. Most of the time this language is unconscious, inherited, cultural, automatic. It's passed down without anyone stopping to ask what it actually teaches. But that's exactly why it matters. When adults frame parenthood primarily through sacrifice, children don't just absorb love. They absorb implication. They learn that their presence required endurance, and their needs came with a cost, and that their job, even subtly, is to make it worth it. And then gratitude stops being a feeling, and it starts becoming a responsibility. You don't just feel thankful, you perform it. You learn to be easy, to be low maintenance. You start sensing when stress is in the room and quietly reduce yourself. Not because anyone asked you to, but because children are exceptional emotional readers. And when gratitude is framed as something that repays sacrifice, the child isn't just loved, they're useful. They become proof that the struggle meant something, that the renunciations were justified, and that the hardship had a point. This reminded me of something I read a while ago. Not about parenting actually, but about relationships. In the drama of The Gifted Child, Alice Miller writes about how some people learn very early to stay loved by being emotionally attuned, perceptive. In other words, easy, not because they're asked to, but because they sense what's needed. Love becomes something you preserve by adapting, and once that pattern exists, it doesn't stay in childhood. It shows up in friendships, in romantic relationships, in how comfortable you feel needing things at all. Again, this isn't cruelty or a conscious strategy. It's adults trying to make sense of their own choices and accidentally handing that meaning to a child. But children don't exist to make adult lives feel meaningful. They're not emotional compensation plans, and they're not here to redeem hardship. Parenthood involves difficulty. Of course it does. But difficulty doesn't automatically become a moral transaction. Money struggles aren't a child burden. Relationship compromises aren't transferable guilt. Time and energy given to a child aren't sacrifices. They're the shape of a choice that was made. And when we call those things sacrifices, we quietly turn love into endurance, endurance into virtue, and virtue into something that needs to be acknowledged. What worries me isn't that a child feels gratitude, it's that they're being celebrated for carrying awareness that might not belong to them yet. Awareness that says, my parents gave things up for me. I should be grateful before I'm allowed to want. Peace depends on me being good. That's not emotional intelligence. That's early responsibility. And this is where it widens beyond one post. So many of us grew up with versions of this script. We did everything for you. Or, you don't know how much we gave up. Often said with love and pride. Rarely said with awareness of what it plants. It teaches that existence has a cost, that love is proven through endurance, that gratitude is the price of belonging. So, maybe what bothered me wasn't this post at all. Maybe it was how quickly we call this framing beautiful without noticing how heavy it actually is. Because some things look tender and quietly teach us to shrink. And maybe the real work isn't fixing the language or finding the perfect way to say it. Maybe it's just noticing the moment when love gets tangled with obligation and we call it beautiful instead of heavy. I don't have a solution here. I'm not offering better parents or better scripts. I'm just sitting with a question I can't unsee. What would change if children were allowed to be loved without needing to repay the cost of being here? I don't know. But I think noticing the question matters.